Hey everybody, welcome to another comic book review. In this video, I'll be talking about Volume 4 of Locke Key by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. It's called Keys to the Kingdom. So in this volume, we pick up where Volume 3 left off, and this volume actually starts out with an issue that's kind of a tribute to Bill Watterson's Calvin and Hobbes comics. So the art style is different, and even the writing style is different. It's still Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez doing like the writing and the art, but it's just different writing style. Bodhi's vocabulary has become a lot bigger, sort of as like a loving tribute to the massive vocabulary of Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes. And then it's immediately contrasted with like some real dark stuff as well. So this first chapter has like real fun, lighthearted art, and then the regular Gabriel Rodriguez art as well. It introduces the animal key, which allows whoever uses the key and goes through the door to change into an animal, whatever animal is like associated with them. So for Bodhi, it's a bird. But for Dodge, it's a wolf, and Dodge is still looking after, he's looking for the Omega key to access the Black Door. And most of the Locke family is still kind of out of the know about a lot of the keys, but there's more keys that are discovered in this volume. A whole lot, actually. And a lot of them we don't get a whole lot of an explanation for, because there's this great chapter that kind of goes with like a calendar format where like it goes through like the entire month of February, just kind of what the Locke family is dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and it sets up some really cool stuff with keys that are used in the future. This particular issue, a lot happens to the characters that kind of put them in various like emotional states, and this volume in particular is kind of where things start getting more intense and characters start to have more of an idea of what's going on. They figure out more stuff, and a lot of people die, and or they get seriously injured, and this is where the series starts getting really serious, and the consequences start building up for the characters, and the Locke family realizes that they don't have as much time as they thought, and Dodge is getting closer and closer by the minute to his goal. This volume is great. It's really, really good. It's got some great character moments. There's a moment in particular here involving the ghost of Sam Lesser and Rufus Whedon, which is brilliant. Because in the first volume, Sam is absolutely terrifying, but he's also kind of a sympathetic villain, and I made that point in some of my earlier reviews as well. He was manipulated severely by Dodge into doing things that he might not normally have done, and it's interesting now to see kind of how even in death, Sam Lesser is still getting manipulated, and it just paints an interesting picture, I think. There's one of the things about Dodge, and you saw this a little bit in Volume 3 as well, is just how even in death, Dodge is still manipulating Sam Lesser, and death hasn't really set Sam free, you know? So there's some interesting stuff with that. This volume actually is arguably the most bloody and violent out of all of them. And I remember the first time I read this, I was just like, what? Because there's some stuff that happens in this volume that uh like genuinely made my skin crawl. There's one particular moment in this volume that every time it just makes me cringe. And normally comics don't do that for me, but there's one particular moment that every time I read it, it's just ugh, like, because you notice the emotional implications that it has, and then also just the brutality of it as well. And you really get to see Dodge for the monster that he is. So that's really cool. And then as far as like other stuff goes, the art is on point as always. I feel like it's kind of redundant to say that at this point because Gabriel Rodriguez, his art is always incredible. Joe Hill, his writing is on a whole nother level. And you see a lot of callbacks to previous issues, previous volumes, and this is where a lot of consequences kind of come into play, and it's really really cool to see things kind of being set in motion here. One thing that I don't think I've talked about yet in my earlier reviews is these segments in the back relating to the different keys, and you get an idea of the way some of the ancestors of the current Locke family have dealt with these keys. You get to kind of have a little bit of an idea of how they were used in the Revolutionary War, and then in the 1800s, and just some really cool stuff. And each volume kind of has more of that as they go along and as new keys are introduced. But those are my thoughts on Keys to the Kingdom. Great volume in this series. I can't wait to talk about the rest of the series with all of you. Thank you so much for watching. As always, look forward to more reviews in the future, and have a great day.